You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's The Following After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's The Following After Show.
All right, well, Bing is for doing, and we are doing the AfterBuzz Following Show. Welcome to the Following AfterBuzz Show. We have Joe Braswell here with me. You may find Joe Braswell's work on Extra and Grantland.com. You may also be wearing a little bit of a funky mask right now.
I'm scared.
We'll explain the mask later, but in the meantime, it's just going to be creepy as all hell. We also have Nando Velasquez, formerly of Attack of the Show.
Hi there.
And we have a network publicist, Teresa Jane Law. She's been with us for quite a while. And we have our talented producer in there, Martin. Make some noise for Martin.
How's it going, guys?
And I'm Joe Sanfelippo. We want to thank you for making us. This is very exciting. The #1 downloaded AfterBuzz show on iTunes.
Thank you.
And thank you for rating us. Please keep rating us. Please keep leaving comments. And if you guys happen to be listening live at AfterBuzzTV.com, please give us a call, 424-256-1729, if you got anything you want to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. We also wanted to tell you guys we have a brand new Twitter feed for the show. We all still have our individual Twitter handles, but you can now tweet us all at Following Buzz. That is Following Buzz.
Buzz.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Following Buzz.
At Following Buzz.
All right. Now, as you know, you can listen to us on iTunes, as many of you are doing right now. But if you want to see us, you can go to our AfterBuzz TV YouTube page and find The Following, and you can watch us as well.
I almost died in that mask.
I
was worried about you.
Like Joe Carroll almost got me.
Oh, he got you from
That's
far.
how he gets you. He makes you put on the mask, you suffocate, and die.
He has a publicist send a mask out, and eventually it lands to you.
There's fumes in there. It's fumes or something, I guess.
The worst idea I've ever had.
How'd you doing there? You all right?
No, I'm cool. It's over now.
All right, for those of you who don't know, which is everybody, Nando got a hold of one of the publicists, sent out sent out a mask.
Let's
talk about this.
Ago. So, this is Edgar Allan Poe. For those of you who are watching on streaming live right now or on our YouTube thing afterwards.
Yes.
So and
put him up here.
Yeah, put him up there with and actually show the mannequin thing. Show the mannequin head.
They didn't miss a trick.
They didn't miss a trick when you take it off the mannequin, and it came in a box that was very Seven. It was a very rectangular box. Once I got it, I figured.
What's in the box?
Exactly. So very scary. They did not. This was again part of their whole marketing campaign. So they've really stepped it up, and their marketing campaign paid off. So I'm thinking
they might have had some good numbers. We'll get to that later on, though. We'll talk about numbers in a bit. That is the creepiest mask. And now we've all got to see it in action, the mask that sat there and then didn't sit there anymore.
It's kind of like you said, it's kind of like a Hitler. Did Poe have a Hitler mustache?
No, I think they just did that for the publicity ones, because the ones in the show didn't quite have the Hitler stash.
It's scarier. Maybe it's scarier because of that.
All right.
Oh, you think so?
Maybe they did it for a little extra. A little extra.
You know what? Put a Hitler mask on it. Send it out.
It hits you on so many levels.
Right.
So many different levels.
Well, should we talk about this week's show?
Yeah.
All right.
And this is the AfterBuzz Following After Show.
So you're saying my asking is redundant?
Yes.
Excellent. All right.
That's what we're here to do. Flippo.
No
Keeping you
value in
honest.
my asking. All right. Well, let's talk about the show. Should we recap the show briefly?
Yeah.
All right. In Act 1 of the show, we picked up where we left off last week. We have little Joey, kidnapped by the nanny, and Officer Geordi was about to do some terrible things to a poor sorority girl, right?
Yeah.
That was creepy.
Yeah, Officer Geordi was, he's scary, he's creepy, but he's still a little, he's a little inept and I don't quite buy him as a menacing serial killer, but I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Well, he's not as seductive or charming as Joe Carroll, obviously.
No.
But yeah, he seemed very disjointed. Like he was a little disalarming to the girl. Even that girl must have been pretty dumb because her radar should have been.
That's the thing.
Her radar should have been.
He's in
on.
uniform.
Shut the door.
Yeah, dads, talk to your daughters, man. I don't care what kind of uniform he's wearing. And I get to follow you down the hall into the only room that's not occupied.
This is Jesse's room. I know this room really well. Once he said that, and then she closed the door. I studied this room really well. Yeah. You have to have the right tools. He's like taking his time opening up a toolkit.
Yeah. She's like, what's happening? I don't understand the toolkit.
Are you a dentist?
This is one of the dumber sororities on that campus, I'm guessing. So, sorry.
But he got her, and he got, like, every other one, right?
He got, like, how many did he get?
The kill count in the report was 3.
So he got 3 total.
Yeah, got 3 total. There were 9 people in the house, and the other ones woke up and scared him off.
Right.
All right, so he got 3, but he had time to put the one up, like, you know, like all crucified status.
And take her eyes out. Yeah.
This show.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Way to start it off.
That's a good way to start the episode.
No, we're not playing. This is how this is going to go.
Right.
Yeah. We also have our Carroll and Claire confrontation there. So we get Carroll in the room, right, with Joe Carroll.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We get Claire. I'm sorry.
Claire.
I said Carroll. We get Claire in the room with Joe.
Well,
right?
yeah, they decided that the best way to get at, they're still trying to find Joey because Joey's gone, he's missing, right? So best way to find Joey is to maybe appeal to Carroll's paternal instincts. So they get him in a room with his wife, or ex-wife, and which is scene, I gotta say, I had a really, really hard time with that scene.
Yeah, that scene bugged you.
It really bugged. It was a good scene until, I mean, I can't believe that, you know, even Hannibal, this is a serial killer who's he's escaped, he's twice arrested, he's killed God knows how many people, women and guards, and yet he's in the room by himself with his ex-wife, loose hands.
Right, with apparently a table that is 18 inches across.
Right. So he can reach up and choke her.
Well, don't forget they lost an agent. I mean, they lost the agent from last week because they said she let a convicted serial killer, in the room with a ex-FBI agent, and now they're just doing the same exact thing with the wife.
But apparently, you only get punished if it goes the other way. If the FBI agent wigs out and does something. But
and we were all very sad to see her go. No.
That was a great explanation, though.
That was,
yeah.
That was very smooth.
It was very smooth. Like, she had to go. I was not really feeling her. So
no, there was nowhere to go with her.
Yeah, again, I'm sure she's a lovely actress, but not in this show.
But now we've got Debra Parker.
Well, before Debra Parker, just back to this whole.
Let's get back.
Even Hannibal Lecter, like, I know about my serial killers here because Hannibal Lecter came and my man had the mask.
In fairness, he was a fictional.
No, I'm just saying. Dude had the mask. He was in the board.
Well, they didn't want him to bite anyone.
Yeah,
that was his big worry.
Joe Carroll's hanging out. He's gesturing with his hands. He's winking. Like, I don't know. That's but whatever.
But it was a really great scene with Natalie Z again.
Yes.
You could really see that internal conflict. She goes in, she knows she has to, you know, appeal to his paternal instincts, like you said, but it's hard because she's trying to hold that all in and not lash out on him because she's got all this, you know, aggression towards him, and you can really see it in her eyes.
Right. That's the first of a lot of very well acted scenes and confrontations. I mean, we'll get to all that later, but I think the show is just there's some really great performances in the show, and I really am buying the the relationships. I'm buying the confrontations. I'm buying a lot of that, but I did not buy Joe Carroll in the room. I'm beating that dead horse, but
all right. So we have a certain acronym that I think is going to be repeated throughout the show.
MSA.
FBI.
Mobile Command Center.
What was that? What is it called?
I'm going to say FBI WTF. That's going to be the acronym I'm going to take with us from here out.
Right.
FBI WTF.
Okay. I agree. But we learn now, that's another thing we learned is that the FBI is not necessarily responsible for all the ill doings. We have the marshal, we have the local police, we have the marshal. In fact, this episode did a really good job of really addressing all the issues that we all had with some of the things. In other words, they dealt with my man Hardy with the flashlight. They gave him a gun or talked about addressed the gun issue. They dealt with the fact that the FBI has been inept and letting all these things sort of happen. They talked about how Ashmore yelled at the local police. When I'm just getting ahead of myself here, but she yelled at the marshal captain, the local police captain for failing. Mm-hmm. We also saw why Hardy was able to lead. I mean, they went out again to raid the house. Hardy led the. He was point person with no gun, and he's not a member of the FBI, but he's point person, checking windows and doing all that stuff. But they said, with the line, it was something like, you can't do that, but I can. That's
Right.
why I can do that. So that's well explained. So that all those things about like what is he doing there? He didn't have a badge. How is he doing all these things? How come the FBI is so inept? They really addressed all these things in the second episode, which I think
they did. They cleaned it up, and at the last thing when they at the end scene where they kick out everybody who's not FBI. That's good. That's smooth. Now we got a fresh start with
it. They heard us. They heard us complaining last week.
So apparently FBI WTF has power.
Yes.
They shot this whole episode between last week's podcast.
They heard our podcast and they got it all together.
Oh, the edits they can do.
Well, typically pilots are just so rushed anyway because they're just trying to get the order and they're trying to put as much information. So now they can tell the story. So they're trying to breathe it out and fill in those holes. So that's great that they did that.
They have that one shot with pilots where it's like, that's the thing. The pilots are done usually like 6 months or like way ahead of the series order. So they have this pilot. It's like their one shot to do this great thing, and it gets picked up, and we see that. And then 6 months later, they get this. Okay, give me 13 more. So now, they're instantly hiring everyone. But it looks like we're able to sort of get right back into the story and really sort of tell this thing out. And we'll see how it works out.
You know what I enjoyed? What they did. I enjoyed that Joey was having a great time. I enjoyed that when the nanny and the gay couple take him out there, they're having a blast. And I love the way they shot that too, where the kid runs off and you're like, he's going to try and make an escape, and then it's like, oh, we're having the best time.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Very well done.
Nice little misdirect.
He appeared to be in danger, but of course he was not.
Absolutely.
And that was a really nice house they pulled up.
Yeah, who was
Friend
putting
of
the money in
friend.
this?
Yeah, someone's financing it.
Yeah, the kid loved it.
They had a whole clone of his room. That was crazy. They had all this stuff. They had.
It's like my room.
Good
my
stuff.
voice. I'm gonna do the whole podcast in that voice.
You're very good.
That's actually my little kid voice and my girl voice. It's one voice. I got you do a mean Connery. I do a mean kid.
I'm not even sure that my Connery's that good.
It's not. It's horrible.
Oh, that was mean.
I'm sorry. Your Connery's terrible.
I loved your kid. Your kid was brilliant. That's all right. For whatever.
It's okay.
All right, so we have Joey having a great time in the house. We have, and then we have our flashbacks. So we get to meet some of these people a few years ago, and one of the first flashbacks we have is Emma and Joe Carroll at the book signing, and that was terrific. You get to see who she was, and you get to see how vulnerable she was, and how open to whatever it was he wanted to do.
Yeah, and you get to see Carroll in action and, manipulate and
seductive.
use his charming ways.
Well, it's really interesting about her in that flashback too, because first of all, he brushed her hair away and said,
"That old chestnut."
And he said, "You have lovely eyes. Don't deprive us of them."
Oh, Jesus.
Which made it sound like she could be a victim, but when she got really passionate about the book and she started saying, "In death." The main character, in death, she found hope. You could see Joe Carroll just say, "Ooh, I can use this." So it's interesting to see what determines whether someone became a victim back then or what became an acolyte, excuse me, or a follower. Yeah, exactly.
So. And he signed the book, Hopefully Yours.
Hopefully Yours. I saw that.
And then the old milfy cougar mom had no, she did not care about that. Like, my
cougar mama.
Just the daughter, like, hopefully yours. She's like, anyway. What? This guy's hitting on your daughter.
You're too good looking to be a writer.
Oh, my God, that was rough.
Yeah, she's still swirling the glass of Chardonnay. Almost, it feels like I can see it in the bookstore. The glass of Chardonnay is like. Anyway, but I think that the back to the flashbacks, I think it's cool what they're doing. I mean, Lost was sort of introduced this whole storytelling method of telling, be able to get through a whole series telling the storytelling method of telling it in flashbacks, and it was done almost to perfection in Lost with some fatigue after a while. Yeah. A lot of shows have tried it afterwards with some confusion and whatever else, and I think that it's an interesting device because if it's done well, it works extremely well. So far, so good here. If it's done not so well, it could be really kind of hacky and weird. So I'm kind of have my eye on that, how they'll be using it. So far, so good. I mean, we've had this show had about 6 or 7 flashbacks, and they all seem to work, at least in my opinion. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I have some mixed feelings, but I want to save them until we talk about like the critical reception and stuff later, because we're going to talk about that. But I'm not sold on it 100%. I think people use it as a crutch in broadcast a little bit, but I'll talk more about it later. So, but yeah.
You mean in series and shows?
Yeah, I think in broadcast series, I think it's getting to be a little bit. It's not too much in this show. It's not like The Event when that show came out. I know a lot of people were complaining about the flashbacks there. And Lost, while it was the first show that brought the flashback and brought it as a major plot device, and people liked it. And I guess it was a way, especially with an ensemble cast, of bringing one person out. I think it's. Again, I have mixed feelings. Maybe we'll see how it develops later on in the season, because obviously we're still in the middle of it, and I think we're starting this story really in the middle. There's a lot that happened in the beginning that we don't know yet that we need to know, and there's obviously stuff that's going to happen. So I can understand that.
Well, one of the things I dig that they're doing is every flashback you get to see these people pre-broken. Like they look hopeful, they look younger, and there's smiles, and Natalie Z looks, she looks just glowing, and Kevin Bacon somehow or another still looks good and together. And obviously this is before they were all broken. So that I enjoy that about the flashback.
There was an interview.
Smiling.
There was an interview I read this week that Kevin Bacon did, talking about his scenes in the flashbacks and how he's so broken in present day, but he's so much happier back then, and he's so focused that he's actually making jokes and talking to the crew off camera. He's being really jokey with the crew during the flashback scenes, as opposed to in the present day stuff where he's a lot more stern and more focused, which I thought was really funny. I guess you're really drawing that part of your character off screen during those days when you're shooting flashbacks.
It really softens the edge of the show too, just because there's so many suspenseful scenes, and then you have softer moments at the flashbacks. So I like that.
So far so good. I agree with you, Nando, but so far so good. I mean, like I said, I agree it could be really hacky, like in the event, which was awful. But I think so far so good. It's like it's a delicate balance with the flashbacks. I think they're doing well with them so far.
The flashbacks work for me. I tell you what never works for me, and I always have a tough time, is when you've seen this in a number of shows, but you see like the mask thing, right? So we have this row of masks with apparently a dude on the end wearing a mask, and somehow or another, our hero from the FBI does not recognize that one of these masks has a torso and legs.
Well, in his defense,
I'm asking, help me. We get to this cult pad, he breaks in, right? So now we're checking out this crazy cult pad,
right?
And we're looking at all these masks, and we don't notice that this last mask is attached to a person.
How about that cult pad, though?
No, that was creepy.
That was pretty,
all the writing.
They did a good job. They showed the masks. They showed a close-up of all the masks. No one was there. He turned his back. I saw in the mirror. I'm watching for this stuff. I saw in the mirror.
Nice.
Nothing's getting by Joe.
No.
There was
a guy there. He wasn't there before, then he was there.
Yeah.
And then he turned around, and that's when he was there. So I think he should have showed up.
They showed that same
so
shot.
He slides in.
He slides in.
They showed that same shot a few seconds earlier, and then they cut away to Ryan picking up his book.
Right.
And then when they cut back to that same shot of the mirror, you could see the torso there.
And age old. I mean, Williamson's pulling out all the old horror movie tropes and all the old tricks. But I saw someone of the four of us. One of us jumped in the room.
You try and put that on me again?
I'm just saying.
Apparently, with a certain sound cue and a little bit of. Right. I will jump. I will.
You're so quick to be like, and then the mask. I mean, who's gonna buy that? I don't know.
I'm gonna throw something at you, but. So we've got our crazy mask, right? And we get to meet this pad, but then we go back into another flashback, right? And so we get to go back and see Jacob and Emma. We get to see them get set up by Joe. Yeah. Joe lays that groundwork with Emma when she comes in with a new haircut and how beautiful she looks and how Mom doesn't get her and how special she is.
How weird was that scene? Just that scene between Joe Carroll and Emma. He was like a father figure, and he was so chipper, even in prison. He's just like, oh, you need to find more friends.
It makes sense why she's drawn to that, especially because she has no father figure. Correct?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, they never showed one.
Mom's cougared up, man.
Mom is and Joe gets her. She's my mom doesn't understand me, and she never did.
That's the thing. That's it. Mom doesn't get you. You're so special. I mean, that's a great line of that's a great line of reasoning right there.
But that's a good point, Nando. Joe Carroll's awful chipper. He's always like in a good mood, even pre-arrest, post-arrest in jail. He's always got the smile, a twinkle in his eyes, brushing back the hair.
Never let him see you sweat.
Like he's doing this guy's in jail.
He should do a deodorant commercial in between.
Serial killer.
Never let them see you sweat.
Yeah, but I think going back to the original book signing. We talked about seeing Joe Carroll as a seductor, that was really effective. I think the whole, even all the cheesy brush your hair back trick. I mean, all that was very effective, and we see a continuation of that in the cell. Sort of like the manipulation of, maybe not. I know you're attracted to me, but sort of switching from that to a father figure and saying, I got someone who I
more
can
of a
set
mentor.
you up with.
Absolutely.
Is also super manipulative and great. And she set him up with looked like Tag Romney. I just want to know, my man Jacob.
You weren't going to say it.
What's his name?
Jesse was all Republican there.
What's his name? Jacob, the main follower.
I think it was Jesse, right?
No,
Jacob.
No, Jacob.
It was Jacob.
Jacob, man.
He got done with his mission. He came right over.
Yo, he did a serious transformation. He went from Tag Romney.
Tag Romney.
No, he went from dude went from Tag Romney to James Dean, and he really, he started his tag,
and then polo shirt,
and the next thing you know, he's got the pompadour and he's got the stubble.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, I love the Tag Romney thing. It makes me truly happy.
He had the polo and the sensible belt.
Oh, yeah.
And the part.
Oh, yeah. And parted severe. From not from here, like from deep.
It was very, anyway.
That perfect grin.
Exactly. very serial killer-ish.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I love the. We'll get there in a second, but you know what? No, let's go there now. I love the murder of the mom. I think the cougar murder,
the MILF murder,
the MILF. I'm calling her a cougar. You can MILF it if you want, but I'm calling it a cougar.
I don't know. Okay, I'll go.
You guys obviously have different tastes.
You're putting me on the spot. I'm not saying she's my MILF. Or a MILF. Okay, she's a cougar. We'll go cougar.
Here's what I love about this. This is the modern day equivalent of the two teenagers in the old Halloween movies running off to get it on right by the lake, and then Jason appears and starts hacking people up. Yeah. This is the modern equivalent. Cougar is absolutely fair game. Did anybody feel bad when mom got stabbed?
I mean.
Not really, I guess.
Did anyone have a moment where they're like, "Oh, poor mom"? No, we're all like,
she was asking for it. From the first flashback, it just seemed obvious she was going to be She was asking for it.
There was no question.
And even in the jail cell, she's like, "Mom says it looked like a boy, and I'll never,
Yeah.
And she's swirling the Chardonnay, like you must go for the plain Jane type. That's what set her off. The plain Jane comment. Yeah. It was all cool till the plain Jane came out. You must go for the plain Jane type, and that was it.
I just moved up the timeline. Yeah. Mom was on the table. Mom was
Can we give a shout out to our girl Valerie Curry? Is that her name?
Oh yeah, that's her name.
She's fantastic.
She's great as Emma.
She's doing it. She's scary. She's sexy. She's vulnerable. She's in control. I mean, it's a great performance.
I'd say she's a breakout star.
Yeah, she's definitely a breakout. Yeah. I love her.
Absolutely.
Do you love her, Joe?
I do.
You're awful quiet about Valerie.
I'm sorry. You guys covered it. I think.
In 20 years, would she be a cougar or a MILF?
I can't get into that. I can't make judgments that far in advance. Those are too deep. Those predictions. Those are deep predictions right there.
She's a Chardonnay swirl away.
Uh-oh.
It's funny. I just want to bring this up if I can pull it up with enough time. I was looking at some of the funny tweets that came up today, and this guy, Man Up Texas BBQ. So shout out to you on the podcast.
Man Up Texas BBQ?
Yeah, he wrote.
That's the guy I want to hang out.
He tweeted, "Note to moms: never describe your daughter as plain Jane when she's standing next to you with a sharp knife."
Right.
Yeah. So words to live by there.
You know what? That is a fair point. Thank you, Texas Man Up Barbecue.
Yeah. Yes. You gotta love the Twitter names.
Oh, that's awesome. slow cook.
Yeah.
All right. We also have that scene where Hardy and Claire get together, which
this is flashback.
This is flashback number 4.
Number 4 in the show, which is So in this whole act, we have we see it's kind of a pair because we have the origin of Jacob. I keep getting this guy.
Jacob and Emma.
Jacob and Emma. We see them getting together, and then we also see Hardy and Claire getting together for the first time.
For their first kiss.
Yes. Which she initiated.
She's a strong woman. She initiated it.
Yeah.
And as I said in the room, Natalie Z knows how to give a on-camera kiss. I mean,
she does.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Now, I wanted to point this out in the flashbacks because even though that one happens after the Emma Jacob flashback, I was looking at the years because I'm really curious because you had a theory that I was thinking about, which we'll talk about later. I'm not going to ruin your theory. You're still your theory that the Emma and Jacob met in 2006. But the first kiss between Ryan and Claire was 2005. And Carroll was tried in 2004, and the murders happened in 2003. So just for those of you who are confused with the flashbacks, I pay attention to those kinds of things, guys.
Well, and they're important because I think we have a red-headed kid that I'm just seeing some things. I don't know.
We could talk about that. We don't want to jump too far into that, but we could talk about that in detail.
I don't know. I mean, we'll get to that. But,
okay.
All right. So we have Hardy and Claire. They get together, and it's obviously a lovely, charming scene. Kiss me, and who wouldn't? Only a fool.
Right.
And then we get to discover Mom and Officer Jordy. We find Mom. That's rough. When Mom comes out of the wall.
Oh, when they go
back to the cult house, Mom drops out the wall.
Yep.
Her hair still looks good, which is good.
And there was a picture of her on that wall.
Absolutely. And there was also a picture of Natalie Z, which I do believe bothered our friend.
Well, that's
Mom was oddly
off everything.
grasping a glass of Chardonnay. And the dead.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
She had a glass.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be so awesome. They decided to bury her with the Chardonnay. This is how we want to remember you.
Officer Hardy.
I just want to know, and maybe you guys caught it. I just want to know what made Mike Weston open up that board. Did he smell something? I'm guessing we obviously couldn't tell.
It looked a little loose.
I thought it was maybe it was a little loose, but I for a second is Mike Weston?
Yeah,
does he know too much?
Where to go.
Does he know too much? That kind of clicked for a second. Yeah.
Which we can get to it in characters, but we glossed over knowing too much. Our new
our girl Debra Parker.
Agent Parker. She was a little going through the house initially.
Yeah.
She waxed a little romantic about the whole.
She waxed poetical, as it were.
About the notion of serial killing as a religion, and she's
or some such thing.
Yeah, she's off into the stars talking about it, and Bacon was giving her a look like, "What are you?" And then, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a little bit of something going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wrote down, she called him a handsome, charismatic man. Mm-hmm. She said, the only way to truly live is to kill.
Yeah.
And using post-work as a religion. And she said or something like that.
Or something like that.
Whatever it is.
Whatever those killers do.
Yeah.
Not me.
Nobody accused him. What? Nothing. Moving on. Yes. No, she's got too many layers. I don't trust her at all.
Right.
Then we have Officer Jordy makes his move.
Yeah.
Again, FBI, WTF. So apparently Jordy,
local police, man.
In all fairness,
cut the FBI some slack.
Now wait, didn't they give pictures out to everybody? Be like, hey, if this dude shows up.
No, but he was in the car. Like Hardy saw the map. He's like, this is the attic, like of the basement or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. He knew, whatever. I don't
know. My house, it's a decent sized house. It's not like it's not a mansion, but it's a good size. There's only a handful of ways in and out. I'm just saying, if there were enough cops, I'm pretty sure we could lock it down pretty quick. Maybe with 3. I don't know.
Well, they have these elaborate blueprints.
Yes, that is also they do. They have the blueprint of the condo where they went through the wall of Natalie Z's condo.
So you're saying that somehow or another it's possible that Valerie Curie's character could have dug a tunnel.
Well, Emma had 3 years, 2 or 3 years to plan that.
So it's 3 years in the making, Joe.
Yeah.
Flippo.
So you're saying that I have to suspend my disbelief a little harder?
Well, I had to suspend my disbelief that Jordy, what do they call him? The disorganized killer with a low IQ is a ninja. So I had to suspend my as he climbs down. Like Van Damme, he climbed down.
Very Mission Impossible.
Yes, I
expect him to start playing for looking for microchip.
I suspended my disbelief and I'm like, here comes Jordy, and he somehow squeezed out of that thing.
Right? Out of that attic opening, yeah.
The guy who's the disorganized killer with a low IQ.
Drops behind Officer Handsome and Confused. I'm not sure what's going on.
Exactly, that guy. That was very well executed for a dimwit.
A big dimwit who loves pizza and Tabasco sauce. I'm telling you, Tabasco commercial.
We got it.
All right, so Jordy makes his move, and then, of course, we have our Claire rescue with Officer Hardy.
Excellent scene.
Yes, excellent scene. And I was when we were watching it, I actually talked trash about the our what's the FBI officer's name I was talking
Officer
about?
Riley.
Officer Riley.
The black guy.
The black guy. He gave him the nod, and I was like,
his name.
"What is this?"
Officer, he's got lines this week. Don't mess with Officer Riley. They got my notes on that one. He came back.
Officer Riley fan right here.
Look, Officer Riley. My man Billy, he came back. He had lines.
He wasn't basic. He had some stuff going on. He was connecting with Hardy.
He frowned a little bit. He had some lines.
He looks like he's got his act together. He doesn't have many lines because he's so focused and he's so busy and he's on top of his game.
But they sent my girl back to the girl who we didn't like. She got sent away, but Officer Riley stayed. So I'm just saying.
There you go.
But he's smart enough he gave him the look.
Put that gun in the back.
The gun.
Very slick.
Very slick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a
I
good
talked a little trash about that for a half second, and you shut me down, and you're right.
No. I'm
And
like,
you know, for someone who hasn't held a gun supposedly in what 8 years,
Ooh,
and
good
to
move.
have one just snuck behind him, he was pretty quick on. Ryan was pretty.
He didn't shoot himself in the back. No. he
Yeah,
did it up.
no.
he was pretty.
And Claire seemed to know what to do too.
Yeah,
She
should've
ducked
moved.
right away.
Well, I think it was pretty obvious. I mean, Jordy was pretty dumb. Let's just face it. I mean, do you want us to call him? Do you want us to call Joe Carroll? I was like, okay. You know,
You got his number?
you got his number? Can we get a pizza too while you're at it? I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah. Poor
Can you
Jordy.
get him on three-way? I mean, I'm just.
I mean,
Jordy.
who's to think? And he was so worried about getting killed. But if he kills Claire, who's to say he wouldn't get killed anyway in a shoot-off? So
Right.
this guy was obviously just a very weak-minded individual.
What he said, this is his chapter. He was prepared to die. I love the idea of chapters, though. That works. You know.
Well, the name of the episode is Chapter 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, the way I was thinking about it too, especially the way it's set up in there, Ryan and Joe's conversation at the end, is that it's an early chapter. It's almost like a video game. You know how the difficulty gets ramped up the more you play it.
Yeah.
Each level, the boss
This is
gets
level
harder.
1. Yeah,
Right.
this is the first level boss, pretty much. It's done with, and that's why Jordy, he was so happy. He's like, "This is my job. Joe gave me this job to do." He was so proud that he got to be the one. He got to be the one that could kill Claire, and he was just so eager and excited about it. But come on, I mean, if Joe Carroll really wanted his wife dead, she probably would put somebody a lot smarter. I mean, we see that Emma seems incredibly smart as it is.
Yep.
And, you know,
we've yet to see the other two, but
Well,
do any
there's
killings.
something we glossed over that we should mention. I mean, when they were in the cult house,
Yeah.
the guy in the mask,
The cult crib.
the cult crib, is that what we're gonna call it?
Yeah.
When they were in the cult crib, the guy with the mask
Rick.
had the drop on him for real. Rick, was that his name?
Rick, that's what
Yeah.
they called him later. Yeah.
Rick.
And he said, it's not
Here he
your
is.
turn.
It's Rick.
Rick. Hey, Rick. It's not your turn. And he hit him with the gun. He didn't shoot him. He hit him with the gun because it wasn't his time to go.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's levels of control going on.
Sure.
We're telling a story. This is exciting.
Very exciting.
And then once we have the Claire rescue, then we get our confrontation with Joe. And I do love that we have that moment where Ryan gets to say to Carroll, "Hey, he's not dead. I didn't kill him." So
Right.
your narrative's a little off the rails.
You know how we were talking earlier about how cheery Joe Carroll always is and how he seems in control. That was the first moment you saw. Wait a second, what's going? You know, he's
a
just a
little rattled.
little worried.
Right.
Just a
Well, I
little.
wonder if this is a theme because the last show ended in that sort of that Clarice Lecter standoff between Hardy and Joe. You know, the pilot episode
Yeah.
ended with that, and then this
Right.
episode, it's almost every episode at the end they sort of meet up and
So
do
you're
like
saying it's going to be like a Mr. Drummond Arnold type thing on different strokes, where they,
Bob Saget with the kids.
or was it when William Shatner and in the practice or whatever, and James Spader always had your cigarette at the end?
Boston Legal wants a cigar.
That's the better one.
Yeah, that's where we're headed. So we have this, but in that, you know, we talk about. I keep going back to Justified, my other after show and my other favorite show. That show's about confrontations. It's always about Raylan and someone in some sort of confrontation and standoff and verbal standoff. This is the same. You have. You know, Hardy and Carroll matching wits throughout the whole episode, but then at the end of the episode, they get to go face to face and see who got the better of the other. In the first episode, we saw that Joe clearly got the better of Hardy.
Yeah.
You know, very much so, but with the demise of poor what's her name from
Claire.
from Take.
Not Claire, Sarah Fuller.
Yeah,
Maggie Grace, Sarah Fuller.
Yeah.
But this episode looks like Hardy got the best of Joe Carroll by saying that, you know, actually Jordy's not dead.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see how this sort of swings back and forth.
And that scene sort of showed that I think Carroll really wants to get Ryan back to fighting form so that he can pose a challenge to him. Because when we first see Ryan, he is a mess. You know, he's not on his A game. And Carroll's plan is to really have a challenge and really, you know, cause a lot of pain in Ryan's world.
Well,
So-
here's the thing. I mean, the line that hit me the most from that interaction with the two of them was when Joe Carroll said, "A royal victory from the leading man cements the love story."
That's a fantastic British accent. by the
And
way.
I try. It's not as good as your Connery, Joe, but
Or Joe's young
or
lady.
Joe's young lady / kid.
Yes.
But
She's
it works out. but I
like
think
he's here.
there were moments, and we can go into this detail in a little bit, but there were moments when it was pretty obvious that those two have cemented a little bit more of a love story.
Absolutely.
So it's all going so far more or less according to plan. Even though Jordy's still alive, it's going more or less according to plan so far.
I'm telling you, there's a red-headed kid involved in this thing.
Well,
Joe Carroll has
before you
black
get there,
hair. I'm just saying.
At the end,
Ryan Hardy got red hair. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
So we do see that our girl at the end. I keep forgetting her name. Our agent.
Emma.
Agent. No.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Debra Parker.
Deborah Parker.
Agent
Yeah,
Parker.
Agent Parker.
With the book.
Let's talk about this book.
I mean, this book.
So this wraps it up. Well, it was a less colored version, but yeah,
It was about that size.
This one's got the red and the other stuff.
Right.
The one she gave him was a little more basic, but yeah,
Right.
she slides that book. I mean, and the look she gave him.
Yeah, but that. So do we think? So the question here is that do we think that that was a surprise to Carroll? Do you think that they're? Because I don't think that red is like, oh, she's in on it. I think that red is.
Well, in the beginning, when Hardy and Carroll were first speaking, I think in the beginning of the episode, I believe Carroll said he was asking for reading material. He was waiting to get reading material. So no one had given him any reading. He had a couple of requests. So I believe that book was one of the requests, and Agent Parker. Perhaps the other FBI agents didn't want to give it to him because they didn't want to obviously give him any special treatment. But she's a little odd. She's very interesting so far.
She's not to throw you off a little.
She's not your typical FBI supervisor. She seems to be very close to the vest. Remember, she didn't really want to say anything about cults until and all of a sudden she decided to wax poetic and say, "I specialize in cults." So she has her own her
own methodology.
Ryan Hardy is very unorthodox as well, but it's interesting to see she's very different than him and yet unorthodox as well.
I gotta say, that look that they shared, it looked to me like she wanted to have his babies, and it looked and when he looked at her, it looked very much like, and you know you're going to have my babies. Right. I don't know.
I read it differently. I read it that she, I think there's just some sort of manipulation that she gave it to him, and he was surprised, like,
too.
"Oh, really?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's right."
Now,
and, and it wasn't like, "That's right, I'm having your baby," but "That's right, you don't know me, fool." So
okay,
that's how I read it. I felt like that she, but I think it's meant to be ambiguous. It's meant to be, well, whose side is she on? What angles is she playing?
here's something interesting that you guys might not have noticed from that scene. I want to talk about the music later, but the lyrics that were going on during that scene, it just kept repeating. It kept saying, "Love me, love me, love me, love me." Really? That whole time. I'm not kiding. Yes, it said, "Love me, love me, love me." That whole
I just
scene
think
was
maybe
that.
she wants to have his babies. Is all I'm saying.
That might be it. That might be it.
Everyone's having babies.
Everybody want to have babies. I think we should talk briefly about the characters here, and the top character on my list is the FBI. So I'm just going to say one more time, FBI WTF, because there's quite a few of those. And I know in this episode we cleaned house. At the end, we got rid of all the local PD. We got rid of the marshals. Now it's only going to be FBI involved. But talk to me about the FBI. Are you impressed with the way they're operating, Teresa?
I mean, they've had a lot of screw-ups, so I think that's when we really had to suspend our disbelief. So hopefully after this explanation, they clean up their act, like you said, and we don't see any more of that.
They tighten this thing up?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's not about the FBI so much as who's, the characters in the FBI.
Yeah.
So it's like where, we see Hardy and we see, I really want to talk about, we've touched on it a little bit enough, but, with this introduction of Parker, and what's the actress's name?
Annie Parise.
Annie Parise.
Annie Parise.
She's fantastic.
She's
too.
great.
Yes.
She, in the first 30 seconds of her that we saw her, she read instantly as credible as an actress and as an FBI supervisor. I was all in on her, unlike my girl from last.
And that's what was
week.
missing from last week's head FBI person.
And what's also great about her is she's in charge of her emotions.
Yeah.
You don't see her slip or anything.
Exactly. You don't know where she's coming from or when she's going to do it or what her angle is. And I think she's a fantastic character
And
actress.
she's very deliberate.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Everything you get from her is very deliberate, which is, that's why I think they have their options open. I mean, Kevin Williams has got his option. No, he can go either way. He can go, I want to have your babies, or I'm just setting you up for a fall. I mean, he's got his options
somebody's
open.
having babies in Joe Flippo's show. The Joe Sanfelippo show. Flippo, someone's having babies.
Joe, you just want to see babies.
I love babies. Have you seen them?
You know what? If you really want babies,
they're like little people.
If you want babies, Joe here can do a really good baby voice for you.
Let's do it.
There you go.
It's
There it
like
is.
there's one here.
I can't do a baby Connery though. You can't. How's that go, Joe? That Connery?
You're a mean man.
No,
You're a mean man, Joe
There it is.
Braswell.
That's
A mean man.
What's the best Connery I've ever heard?
Oh!
That's right in my eye. It's all right. Your Connery's.
But I mean, as far as
Wonderful.
the FBI, I think I know you're harping on them. You know, the U.S. Marshal and those were uniformed officers in Claire's house, so it seemed like they're the ones that screwed up that one a little bit more, as Mike Weston was going to town on them.
Yeah,
and everything.
absolutely.
But you know what? Everyone should have figured out. Okay, you had somebody on the inside for 3 years in the nanny, in Emma, and you didn't even think that. Well, maybe she knows some things about the house that might be used against everybody. So.
Well, running through the rest of these characters, so we're all good. We're still good with Bacon, right? We love Hardy as a character. We love what he's doing.
Yeah.
I love what he's doing last week and this week. My only complaint is that it's a slow rollout. It's a very slow burn with Hardy in this character. I think Kevin Bacon's doing a lot as an actor, but he's not really doing. Hardy's not doing a lot to sort of give us. I haven't had that one scene where Hardy is Hardy yet. I don't know why he's a genius. I don't know why he's the man. It's this slow rollout. It's implied in the first episode, and we see a little bit of actions in the second episode, but I'm still waiting for that big Hardy, like, oh, he's the guy, like the Jack Bauer moment when you're like, oh, that's why he's the guy. But I still love, so far for me, I mean, Bacon's Bacon. No one wears a loosened tie and struts around in a loosened tie better than Kevin Bacon. That guy. That guy wears a loosened.
You can take that to the bank.
That guy, he will never. That stuff is loosened, and he's ready to go.
I love it.
And who else? And then Ashmore, we feeling pretty good about him still?
I think he had the best line of the whole episode. He comes into the cult pad and he's like, "At least there aren't any dead puppies here."
Right. Yeah, exactly. So do we still think that he is? Do we have any questions about him?
I mean, again, I don't know how he figured out that there was a dead body behind that plank. So, and I remember from the pilot, I think he was the first one. He was the one who led the charge in the lighthouse when Hardy and Joe were having that standoff and Joe was surrendering. So I feel like he just seems to be a little quick on the draw. So I'm still a little. It's very interesting to see this dynamic.
That's kind of the fun of this whole show, right? I mean, anybody could be in on the deal. Yeah. So
and it could pan out to nothing. I'm sure they're doing a lot of misdirects on purpose.
And that's kind of it with the FBI. We have that, and we have my boy Agent Riley, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And then the followers, we have our girl Emma.
Right.
Who's wonderful.
Terrific.
Yeah. We like her.
And we learned so
great.
much, and we learned so much about her in this episode. So
Right.
she was featured really as far as the three of them.
I got to tell you, I feel real bad for the dark-haired. I don't remember his.
Paul Torres.
I feel bad for
Torres.
Paul. I don't think Paul's gonna last very long.
Well,
Paul Torres
just like we see the triangle between Claire, Joe, and Ryan, there's obviously a triangle going on between those three in the house.
Right.
So you don't know what's going on with Paul yet. Is he? Maybe he's gay. Maybe he's not. They still haven't really officially said what those two did in those 3 years, how deep undercover they went.
I'll tell you what
Pretty
Paul
attached to Jake still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I also think there's some like I want to prove myself to Joe Carroll thing too going on. There's also you got to prove yourself to the leader. And so far, Emma's taken over completely, so it leaves these guys very little to do if they want to, stand out, so to speak.
Well, Joe Carroll's attracted to beautiful women, so maybe he has her leading the charge there as a lieutenant.
I tell you what, Paul Torres is. Paul Torres is not going to make it. That's what
he's not going to make it. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, he's got the red shirt, the Star Trek red shirt on. He's already walking around.
Ensign row.
Dead men walking.
I love it.
And then Jordy. So we have Jordy, Torres, James Dean Romney, and Emma as our followers so far.
Dean Romney.
And
the mysterious Rick.
And Rick.
Which we didn't even touch on. We didn't touch on the very last scene for Rick.
Right, that's right.
Which was with the Poe
Oh
mask.
gosh, yeah, where he lights that dude on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the interesting thing about that. So far, all the deaths have pretty much been stabbings. That's all they've been.
A whole different thing.
So,
and women, right?
And they've been women. Well, except for the guards, I guess, if you want to count the guards that were
Right.
killed in when they were trying to get away and all that stuff. But this is the first time that one of the followers, has used a device other than a knife. He actually put somebody on fire
on the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the name of the next episode is Poet's Fire. So I'm guessing there's gonna be more about him next week too.
Very literal. Well, there's been a lot of complaints. Well, I'm sorry, just to touch. There's been a lot of complaints about the violence, and the violence against women, and some of the graphic nature of it. Shout out to our boy Matty Vaca, who's my friend of ours, who's complaining about that as well. And maybe this is their way of sort of mixing it up, in terms of, maybe we'll include some males, some gas. I don't know. That's my thought.
That has been Matt Vaca's complaint, was there was no males being killed and no gasoline.
And I wonder if that was a random act or if that was something Carroll had Rick do.
Very true.
I guess we'll find out.
That's very true.
Well, let me ask you a question here. Favorite scenes, real quick. because we got to move along here.
Oh, we got time.
Nando, favorite scene?
Well, I was going to say what was favorite about what I liked the most, because I like to listen. So the music really did me in. So it wasn't really a scene, but there were some awesome scenes that I'm sure you're going to bring up. But I wanted to make a note about the music because there were 2 songs that were used. During the MILF Cougar murder, depending on which Joe's side you are on. They had a song from the Deftones called "Change" in the House of Flies, and the lyrics that were going on then were, "I watched a change in you. It's like you never had words. Now you feel so alive," which I think is really interesting because it really does describe what was going on with Emma. That was her first kill, and she changed. She pretty much became some demented butterfly in a way.
And Jacob's face, like, you did it.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other big song that happened, we started off our podcast with, was Sepultura, Angel. And what was really interesting about this was the lyrics. There were 3 different scenes. It was almost like a montage. There were 3 different scenes, and the lyrics that were on each scene. So I really wanted to bring this up because I thought it was like, wow, this is interesting. And I already gave away the punchline with Agent Parker and Joe Carroll, where it was like, love me, love me, love me, and it got really intense. But when Claire was going to bed and Ryan was watching over her, the lyrics were, "You are my angel, come from way above to bring me love." So then they cut to Emma and Jacob in bed, and Paul being a little peeping Tom. Paul watching them in bed, and the lyrics were, "Her eyes, she's on the dark side, neutralize every man in sight."
Wow.
So
Very literal.
This is all from the
Very
same
literal.
song. So I applaud whoever is thinking that deep into the show.
Whoever's doing sound design, there was no accidents here.
And again, because those two seem so specific and they seem spot on, it really makes me wonder about Agent Parker with his whole love me, love me, love me, love me, and Joe Carroll. It really makes me wonder there's got to be a meaning to that.
Right.
So I'm really curious about that. But that was kind of like what really grabbed me the most. I mean, out of all those amazing scenes and all those confrontations, which I know you guys are going to bring up anyway, so I wanted to bring up something different. But yeah.
Right.
Nice.
So.
Good observation.
Yeah.
That's
Teresa, tell me, what is your favorite scene?
So it's kind of girly, I guess. It was the scene with Hardy and Claire, the flashback scene when she says, "Kiss me." I just think they have really great on-screen chemistry, and it was just nice to see, a softer side of Hardy. We know it's in him,
Right.
but it's nice to see it come out.
Sorry, I just want to say one thing. I counted the amount of times that Claire and Ryan touched in that episode that weren't in the flashback. There were 4 times in particular that they touched.
Just
And
so
2 of the
everybody
times-
knows, Nando pays attention to a lot of
Yes.
stuff.
details.
I pretty much
Doesn't miss a beat.
these first one. Yeah,
I
these
did
first
see the
couple.
one where she kind of like gave him before she went into the to see Carroll. She kind of gave him the little
side pat there.
side pat.
Yeah, well,
was it
even
pat on the ass, or was it like a?
I felt it was, I don't know, maybe it was.
Well, that wasn't even the big one that I knew. I didn't notice that one then. The one I noticed was after she came out of the Carroll interrogation, Ryan had his hand on the back of her neck, consoling her that way, like giving her a little mini massage, which I thought was really, really telling again. And again, it shows how they're cementing the love relationship by seeing these things. And the last 2 times they touched, which was the first
They were
time
holding
when
hands, weren't
they were
they?
holding hands, and Agent Parker was like spotted them both times. You could see there was like a little something there.
She likes that. Yeah. What I love about that scene is that they looked younger and happy. There was that joy. And what's interesting to me is that's post-trial. So after the trial, everybody briefly was okay. So something else happened.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been explained yet. I feel like there's another event because post-trial they seemed like they were in a good place. Right. And then obviously somewhere along the line between then and now he goes off the rails.
Well, is now a good time for you to bring your theory up?
I might have a theory about this baby, maybe not. Maybe Joey doesn't belong to Joe Carroll. I don't know. I don't know. It's a redheaded kid.
I feel that the timeline, unless there's a switch.
Whose baby is it? Hardy's baby?
I think it would be Hardy's. That's what I would do if I were writing this. I'm not, but if I was,
I don't know about that. But if the Joey starts walking around with a loosened tie and a flashlight, then
everybody cut. Everybody cut.
Joey walks around in a t-shirt and jeans.
Right. He's angry about not being able to dance.
Starts dancing in the barn. Then we know. We know something's up. My favorite scene is I really love the Jordy confrontation, the ninja move. I love everything, everything after the ninja move. But I love everything about his scene because that was there's some real acting by Jordy. I mean, he's really genuinely conflicted, and really you got to see the the anguish, the buffoonery, the everything.
I feel so sorry for him.
I felt sorry for him too. But also you got to see Hardy in action. You get to see Hardy do a move and do a quick draw move, and that was a well executed scene. I really liked that scene a lot.
I mean,
It played well.
The names that guy got called this episode. He got called a village idiot.
Yep.
Joe Carroll called him a puppy and a half-wit.
Sure.
Disorganized killer with a low IQ is my favorite.
Disorganized killer with a low IQ. That was
Poor Jordy.
That's rough. You're not very good at being a killer. We feel bad for you.
Right.
My favorite scene is Natalie Z sleeping in the kid's bed. I think that just because if you have kids and you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
When you smell your kids and if they're not there, that's a thing. And so when she's sleeping in that bed and then of course Ryan is sleeping. That's my prediction for next week is that Ryan's going to be very sore waking up after sleeping next to her in an office chair all night. But
yeah.
But I love that scene. I loved it. It was very touching.
And then there's a nice cut between I'm holding the teddy bear and Joey holding the teddy bear.
The identical bear at his adventure house.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
So we want to do some news. We got some time. We got about 6 or 7 minutes. And
should we
news?
Talk about our news and gossip?
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right. What I have here on my list of things to talk about is what were the numbers from last week? Now I know you had a prediction. I believe you said 3.8, right?
I did. I was wrong.
What did it wind up being?
A rare wrong moment. We know this podcast. I'm never wrong.
You should write it down every time it happens.
It's going to be a drinking game.
I would get a 3-subject notebook, but
it was a 3.2 actually. It was a 3.2, which is still respectable. It's about 10. There's 10.4 million people tune in, which is great.
It was the second highest new drama rating behind Revolution. It just beat out Elementary for number 2.
Right.
And I think the other telling thing that is the Live +3 rating, which is the rating when they include the rating for the 3 days afterwards for people who DVR, it went up a full point. So it went up to 4.2.
Oh,
when
nice.
you include that.
Okay, so you were actually under if you include. In your thinking, were you including the DVR?
Of course I was including. Of course
he was not
the Live
including
+3.
He was not including it.
That's basic rating predictions 101.
But it's really, really good. I mean, it totally beat Mob Doctor, which was the Fox show that premiered at that time slot in the fall.
Right.
And it was about the same numbers as Alcatraz last year.
It was exactly a year ago.
Yeah, exactly a year ago. I think.
It didn't end well for Alcatraz.
No, but I think this one. We'll see about this one, but I think this one's going to hold.
And another thing to note was that the audience number ticked up after the half-hour slot, which means people are intrigued and are locking in.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good.
And it was a trending topic. I mean, if you follow Twitter, it was a trending topic all last week, and it did really well this week, too.
And what do we have? What else do we have? The Bacon Brothers are going to be somewhere?
Well, did you want to talk about the critical reception real quick? I mean, it was pretty mixed, but as far as critical reception.
Yeah, I think it was 50-50. Some people really liked it. A lot of people had a hard time with the violence, as we talked about. A lot of people had a hard time with sort of the realistic aspects of what was going on in that pilot. A lot of people thought it was sort of a little predictable and vanilla.
Yeah. Metacritic had a 62 rating, which is kind of low. A lot of people had 80s. The ones that were low, I was reading a couple of them, really were commenting on the violence.
Yeah.
And a few people were comparing it to cable shows, and I think that's not a fair assessment. I mean, Fox was really pushing this heavy, and I guess when you hype something so much, you're bound to have people that maybe suffer from that hype, and they watch it on such a high bar that it's a little bit of a downer. The flashback thing that I wanted to talk about, cable shows don't do flashbacks. They have more time to draw stuff out, I think. I think flashbacks used a lot more in broadcast. Yeah. When you see Homeland or you see Dexter, you see all those, they don't use the flashback that often.
As much. Not as a device, not as a storytelling device.
But I think that's an example of how cable differs from broadcast, and how broadcast sometimes needs to tell a story because they have to deal with other issues, and they have some constraints.
Kevin Bacon, pretty much universal good reviews, though, which is great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As the other thing you were talking about was, let's talk about some of the cast members because they've done really well. Shawn Ashmore just announced he's going to be in the X-Men sequel. Iceman comes back.
The Iceman
recometh. Who returneth is better.
Yeah.
Okay, because that sounds like a X-rated movie.
Three people have been announced. Shawn Ashmore being one of them. So it's Shawn Ashmore, Anna Paquin coming back as Rogue, and Ellen Page coming back as Kitty Pryde. And Shawn Ashmore was Iceman, as I said. So it's going to be really cool. Kevin Bacon, who was in an X-Men movie, he was in First Class. He tweeted a congratulatory tweet to Shawn Ashmore, which I thought was hilarious. He played Sebastian Shaw. Anyone who saw X-Men First Class, he wrote, "Big congrats to Shawn Ashmore for returning to the X-Men franchise. I would join him, but I'm kind of dead. Hashtag corn in the head. So, so I thought that was pretty cool.
He did not make it out.
And then the other interesting note is Kevin Bacon is going to be performing with the Bacon Brothers at the Soulard Pet Parade, which is at Mardi Gras in New Orleans, which sounds pretty cool, actually.
So if you had a problem with them chopping up puppies in the last episode, go to the Pet Parade and see Kevin Bacon and his band, and everything will be fine.
Nobody rocks like the Bacon Brothers.
The circle is complete.
Yes.
I've seen the Bacon Brothers. The Bacon Brothers get down. Bacon Brothers can get down.
They can get down. And they're going to have animals dressed up in costumes at Mardi Gras. That's where they put the animals in costumes.
And then they're going to chop the animals' heads off. And then no dead puppies at Mardi Gras.
Not at all. But
all right.
There we go. That's what I got.
So is that what we got for news and gossip?
That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Let's talk predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It creeps me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we have sound effects, Joe. You don't.
I know.
You don't do your own sound effects. We
I
have a
mix
drop
it up.
that we use.
I'm gonna mix it in with the drop. I don't care.
The prediction scared you. The prediction scared you last week.
It did.
Remember that?
I jump easy. We've established this. All right. Predictions. Joe Braswell.
I predict that I think I kind of tipped my hand earlier, but I predict our man Torres.
Paul Torres.
Paul Torres is not long for this world. Paul Torres is, he may have peeped in on his last peeping Tom move.
Watch the last.
I think he's got maybe one episode left, but he's Gonzville.
So you think Paul's out? All right.
Out.
All right, Teresa, predictions.
Jordy's going to spill the beans. Maybe not everything, but we're going to get some details as to how that was all orchestrated between him and Carroll.
Right.
And I think we're going to get more of a backstory for Emma. She's really interesting, so I think we're going to learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my predictions. I predict, I'm just going to come out and say it, that baby does not belong to Joe Carroll. I'm going to predict that is Ryan Hardy's baby.
Oh.
Joey, I think that Joey, we're going to find out, does not belong to Joe Carroll. I think we're going to find out Joey's Ryan Hardy's, and that's going to be a thing, and they're not going to let Joe Carroll figure that out until the last possible minute, because why keep him alive?
Sure.
All right.
Tying a flashlight, like kid.
And then since I know a little too much, I can't really do a prediction. But what I can do is do a tease, as nice a tease as I can without doing too much. I will say that somebody goes rogue. I'm not going to say who on what side. Somebody goes rogue next week and does something they're not supposed to do.
We got some Sarah Palin action coming.
And there's a big secret amongst one of the followers that gets exposed. And according to the title, and according to the title of Poet's Fire, we get to see more about this last scene that happened this week. So
more hot dog stand extra cooking.
Right.
So those are little teasers. Those are little teasers I know about that aren't revealing too much. But there you go.
All right. Well, that is our show. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, you can tweet to us on our new Twitter handle at Following Buzz. Be sure to check us out on YouTube or continue to download us on iTunes. Thank you for that. Braz, where can we find you?
At Joe K. Braswell. And next week, Grantland.com and Extra.
Excellent. Nando, where can we find you?
You can find me at Nando Val.
Nice. And Teresa, where can we find you?
You can tweet me at The Following Buzz.
Nice. And you can find me.
Nova.
Oh, I'm sorry. And you can find me on Twitter at Joe Flippo. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
We're done.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. Why can we not do that?
No,
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.